Hello and welcome to the Visionary Chronicles. Appreciate you being with me today as always. Welcome back. The Visionary Chronicles, the podcast that explores what sets true visionaries apart from those everyday leaders. Those that aren't satisfied with the status quo and want to disrupt their industry, that's what we're here for. And before we dive into today's episode, excited to share, as I mentioned in a couple podcasts previously, shamelessly I'll say, and over my left shoulder here, is a new book that I just released in June. The Visionary Leader, The Success Principles of the World's Greatest Visionaries, is now available and has become a bestseller. The book extracts the essential principles that really transform ordinary leaders into extraordinary visionaries. And today's episode really draws from one of the profiles that I've done in the book of one of those great visionary leaders. And as I always say, having a bestseller is great, but what's more important to me is the reach. What I mean by that is people that reach out to me and tell me how they've applied what I put into the book, what they do on a day-to-day basis. And what's interesting about Visionary Leader, it's the second bestseller that I've had. The first one was the Visionary Brand, and I'm going to be doing a triad, actually. The next one is going to be the Visionary Product. And what's interesting is, what I love hearing from people is, again, how they've applied it, but how they've also applied it to their everyday life. And I know as an entrepreneur, being an entrepreneur and having been through a lot of trials, you need to have that personal and professional support. So really proud that it's a bestseller, but more proud that people have actually applied what I put in the book. So again, proud to announce that it was a Amazon bestseller, #1 bestseller in business category list. And again, thank you to all who supported the launch and the success throughout the past several months. Thank you. Very humble and very appreciative of your support. Today, we're going to talk again on the Visionary Leader. One of the chapters in the book is actually called The Passion. And what I do in the book is I actually profile either one or two visionaries that I think really apply to what I'm talking about on the principles, the success principles of these visionary leaders. And I felt this visionary, if anybody, probably had the most passion of all the visionaries that I profile in the book. So it's Nikola Tesla, the man who electrified our world, is what I say. So today we're going to explore this life and legacy of a man who profiled in the book, whose dreams literally power the device you're listening to right now, virtually everything that we power in our life on a day-to-day basis. He was really a man who, let's just say, imagined our wirelessly connected world more than a century before smartphones even existed. So you may be driving around in your Tesla, and that is a great invention, no doubt. But Elon named the company Tesla for a reason. Elon's also profiled in my book, and he took his vision from Tesla, thus the name Tesla. And Nikola Tesla was really a visionary inventor. What's really cool about Tesla is he was not only, most people think of him as just an inventor, but he was an engineer, he was a physicist whose contributions to electrical systems and technologies really transformed our world. Again, everything that you're using today, virtually a century before Steve held up that smartphone, has been invented or an extension of what Tesla invented. But to simply call Tesla an inventor would be like calling Leonardo da Vinci, who I also profile in the book, just a painter. Technically, it's accurate, but missing the profound scope of his overall vision. And I love the quote by Nikola Tesla. And the context of this quote is that Tesla really didn't care. He cared about humankind, meaning that he wanted his inventions to be for the people. He died broke in a one-bedroom apartment by himself. But he is probably the most potent, outside of Thomas Edison, the most potent inventor that we've ever had in our lifetime. And he quoted back in the day, I don't care that they stole my idea. I care that they don't have any idea of their own. And think of how that's applied today. I come from companies like Oakley, K-Swiss, TaylorMade, Adidas, all of these great legendary generational iconic brands that are still with us today. And the great founder, the visionary of Oakley, Jim Gennard, he didn't care what the competition was doing. All he wanted to assure is that we were the leaders in our category and in our industry. So every time you flip a light switch, charge your phone wirelessly, use a remote control, think about this, or connect to the Wi-Fi, you're experiencing Tesla's dreams realized and commercialized. The electricity in your home, that's his alternating current system, AC. The wireless signals connecting our civilization as a whole. Tesla pioneered that concept. Think of the scope and the vision of what Tesla had to do in order to achieve that. The electrical motors and everything from refrigerators to electric vehicles. Tesla invented the fundamental baseline technology for all of these products. But what makes Tesla particularly relevant today, and I like translating this generational visionary to the life that we live today, is that we're finally living in a world where he imagined what he wanted to achieve. In the late 1800s, let's just take a context back to where Tesla was back in the day. When Tesla spoke back in the late 1800s of wireless transmission of information and energy, of remotely controlled machines, of global communication networks, people thought he was nuts, that he was dreaming. Kind of goes back to the patent office in the late 1800s when they said, there's nothing more to invent. Can you imagine? Now we call those concepts wireless charging, drones, and the internet. So Tesla's genius really lays in his ability to see beyond immediate applications to envision interconnected systems that could revolutionize entire industries. And that's what you as an entrepreneur really have to look at. Is Steve was the latest one to do this, and they today call it an ecosystem. So it's not just the product, it's the interconnectivity of your products to build an ecosystem in a product that people can't live without, that's interconnected to others that are part of your revenue and part of the loyalty and part of the things that you use on a day-to-day basis that you can't live without. You talk to somebody today and they can't live without their iPhone. What would you have a choice of? And I've asked people this, would you lose your wallet or would you lose your iPhone? Which one do you want to lose? And they'll say their wallet. That's unheard of decades ago. So while his contemporaries, those before him, focused on solving individual problems, and this is one thing Tesla and Steve have in common, Steve Jobs, is they focused on individual problems, not the overall ecosystem of what we live in today. Tesla knew that if he invented this, this would be an ecosystem, an ecosphere on a global scale that could benefit everybody. And that's the beauty of Tesla. His fault was he cared for others and wanted to make our world better. But that's also a strength of his and why he's so renowned today. So Tesla designed these comprehensive systems. He didn't just want to create a better light bulb. He wanted to redesign how humanity generated, distributed, and used power itself. So most importantly, Tesla believed technology to serve humanity. Again, humanity was his number one priority, not control it. And that's what you get with today, is that if you provide a product to your community, to the world that serves them, they will come running for it, but you can't control them. His dream of free wireless energy, yes, free wireless. Can you imagine that today? That's not on the top of mind with most CEOs of large companies right now. Reflected a philosophy that technology should liberate and empower people. I love that he wanted. That's my tagline whenever I talk to people is my goal is to empower people to disrupt in their industry. So as we face modern challenges, and you face these challenges of the current world around sustainable energy, global connectivity, Tesla's approach, his willingness to challenge conventional thinking, his holistic systems-based approach, and his unwavering commitment to a better future remains relevant today, as it should with you in your company, your product, your system, whatever it is. So let's take a look at this. Let's lift up the hood here a little bit and take a little bit deeper dive. So I call it the revolutionary, transforming electrical power as we see it today. Tesla's development of alternating current power systems really revolutionized how we generate, transmit, and distribute electrical energy today. His innovations really laid a foundation for modern electrical power industries. But to appreciate his real revolutionary impact on us today as a civilization, we kind of really need to understand what he was changing back in the day, in the late 1800s. Thomas Edison's direct current system really dominated DC. I'll go back to my band coming up with AC/DC. It's one of my favorite bands out there. So we've got AC/DC, we got Tesla, and we got Edison. Who's going to win? The problem with Edison's direct current system was direct current could only travel about a mile before losing its charge, meaning cities would need a power station every few blocks. So it was impractical, it was inefficient, and expensive. So Tesla really looked at, and I want you to look at how Tesla envisioned his ideas, because I talk a lot about future casting and vision. And people will ask me a lot when I whiteboard with them, when we go with these one-to-one sessions with Liquid Mind, is that you really need to envision as a leader of your company, I don't care if you're a manager, vice president, CEO, whatever it is, on your ideations, get outside your four walls. Tesla really envisions something different, significantly different than direct current. Alternating current electricity that could be transformed to high voltages for efficient, long-distance transmission. So what I want you to look at here is not so much the product itself, but what he looked at. What he looked at that you can look at today is inefficiency, ineffective, and expensive. Everybody has those issues. So it's not so much the problem he was solving, but the fact that he recognized it and understood that it was a more effective, efficient, and less expensive way to do it. So he found a way to transform high voltages for efficient long-distance transmission that Edison didn't do. That stepped down for safe use. That's the critical thing, is Edison tried to discredit Tesla by saying that it was dangerous, that you were going to use it for an electrical chair, all these different things that just weren't true, because Edison knew that if Tesla invented this, he was done. So that's what I want you to look at as well. You're going to face battles and barriers out there as you look at disrupting your industry. I always say safe is risky, from Seth Godin. And it's absolutely true. There hasn't been one great invention out there that hasn't failed and failed again. The great Tom Peters says, fail faster, succeed sooner. So again, Tesla envisioned something different. Alternating current. So when Tesla demonstrated his AC system at the 1893 World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago, he lit up the entire fairground. And this goes back to, we're babied. We have this on a day-to-day basis, so we know. But can imagine, this is before electricity, before lights, before people were using lamps. They were using candles. It wasn't just a technical achievement. It was a glimpse into the future. Visitors saw an electrified city for the first time and what it would become. So Tesla wasn't just selling a product. Again, think about your product. You want a community. You want an ecosystem. So don't just think product. I go back again to Steve's iPod. Steve didn't want to invent just an iPod. He knew the impact that it would have on the music industry and how it would disrupt it. So he was thinking beyond the product as Tesla did. So Tesla wasn't just selling a product, he was selling a dream of modern life for the betterment of his community. And that's why he was embraced so much more than Edison was. So really what set Tesla apart was his holistic approach to looking at problems and his vision for the future. So while Edison thought in terms of individual products, and think of your competitors. You know, Sony back in the day invented the Walkman, very successful product. Steve invented the iPod, a successful ecosystem that lives today that we can't live without. Sony had to get out of the product because they didn't build anything outside of a product. So what you need is what I talk about, this innovation pipeline. Invent a product that lasts for generations and you can surf, not just a product. Think beyond just a product. So while Edison thought in terms of individual products, Tesla thought in terms of entire electrical ecosystems, these systems thinking approach that makes him so relevant today. Whether we're talking about smart grids, renewable energy networks, or Internet of Things, we're creating a kind of integrated systems Tesla pioneered over a century ago. So again, when you look at your products, the context of what I'm getting at and why I profile Tesla in the book is the translation of previous visionary leaders and how you can apply that to your business today. And that's really what it is. It's not just a product. Almost every visionary that I profile in the book, from Jesus to Socrates, to Abraham Lincoln, to Martin Luther King, Amelia Earhart, all visionaries in their own right. But all of them had beautiful stories. All of them had faith. All of them had a vision of what they wanted to do to either change the world, make it better for others, but all of them knew they were taking a risk, sometimes losing their life, like Amelia Earhart. So in 1898, he was a really early advocate of wireless communication and power transmission. His vision included transmission electrical energy wirelessly, a concept that foreshadowed technologies like radio and Wi-Fi. So in 1898, coming back from the late 1800s to the very tail end of the 1800s, 1898, Tesla, I give you these dates just so you can see how far back this is that Tesla had this vision that we still live in today. Tesla demonstrated a radio-controlled boat at Madison Square Garden. The crowd was so astounded that many suspected trickery. So when you disrupt your industry, when you have a great visionary idea, the key to your success is your ability to translate your idea and how you're going to commercialize it and how it will benefit those that are going to use it. Steve Jobs was a master at this. He knew simple is sophisticated. He knew this product would make people's lives more efficient, more effective, at a less cost than they're willing to pay today. So when you look at this, they thought, they suspected this trickery, and then they couldn't comprehend that invisible electromagnetic waves could transmit commands through space. Tesla had demonstrated the future of wireless communication, but the world wasn't ready to understand it. So Tesla thought globally, and visually his inventions adopted worldwide. And that's what you need to think about as well. Just because you're in the United States or any country that happens to be listening to my podcast, I've got many countries that listen to the Visionary Chronicles. Think beyond your four walls. Think beyond your country. Think beyond your region. How it can impact different countries. So Tesla thought globally, envisioning his inventions being adopted worldwide, and you should as well. He spoke of his world system, quote unquote, for wireless transmission of information and energy. Essentially, what he was really doing is describing what we know as a global telecommunication network combined with wireless power distribution. This is back in 1898. This is incredible that he was thinking of this. So the thing I want to get here is in the story, and the reason I profiled Tesla in my book is that he doesn't, you look at the back end of cars and you see Tesla, but you don't realize what this guy did. It was incredible that we still live with this today. And his most ambitious project, which never really got completed, and not a lot of people know about it, was the Wardenclyffe Tower on Long Island. And it was designed to transmit both information and electrical power across vast distances without wires. So if you can imagine, electricity is freely available as radio waves, accessible anywhere on Earth without plugging in anything. That was Tesla's vision. The guy is incredible in his vision. So one thing when you look at establishing your ideation platform as a company, brand, or product is that you need to have something that you can surf for generations. That wave of product and innovation that you have is an incremental improvement, is not an innovation. That's the tail end of the adoption curve. You need to have something on the front end, on early adopter stage, and have it authenticated through them first. Because the late adopters will take care of the back end of your wave. The front end of your wave is the most critical part of your success formula as a company, brand, and product. So while his vision wasn't really fully realized on the Wardenclyffe Tower, Tesla realized the scale. We're seeing early stages with wireless phone chargers, wireless charging of electrical vehicles, and ongoing research into long-distance wireless power transmission we're still experimenting with today. But Tesla really understood that technology's true power didn't lie necessarily on individual devices, but in creating networks. Again, I say ecosystem, right? You have a product, but how are you going to connect it? That's what he was looking at, and that's what you need to look at as a leader of your company. Creating networks that connect humanity and democratize across resources, people, and those that are looking to make their life better. So then let's look at this spirit of Tesla, what I call pursuing this impossible task, what's in front of him. So Tesla had this fierce independence. And many of you have that. And I think that independence is great. And I say think because others are looking for that leadership, that unwavering passion behind your vision and determination, which allowed him to pursue ideas others dismissed as impossible. He was constantly criticized. So expect that in your visionary ideas. You're crazy. There's no way we can do that. Henry Ford, back in the day, challenged people to do an 8-cylinder engine, and they said it was impossible until it wasn't. So unlike Edison, who was as much a businessman as an inventor, Tesla cared very little for commercial success. Now, I knew that's where I lose a lot of CEOs, leaders of companies and brands. Well, we need to make money. I get it. The money will come when you've achieved success. That's what Tesla was getting at. He actually gave up his patents to Westinghouse. He famously tore up a royalty contract with George Westinghouse. Yes, the Westinghouse founder that would have made him one of the wealthiest men in the world because he believed in their shared vision more than personal profit. So at a fault, he wanted to share his vision with the world. So unfortunately for Tesla, there were a lot of people that understood the vision of Tesla, and only Tesla could execute that vision and strategy. And Tesla faced financial struggles, unfortunately, intensified into his later years. His Wardenclyffe Tower project collapsed when J.P. Morgan, yes, the original J.P. Morgan, withdrew support after realizing that free wireless energy wouldn't generate the profits of metered electrical systems. I get it. But what I want you to see as a leader of your company and your brand is if you have a vision that builds an ecosystem, the revenue around that strategy will be realized as a result of you commercializing it. Tesla spent his final decades in modest hotel rooms, feeding pigeons, working ideas that he really could no longer build or realize because there was nobody to finance him. Think of the sacrifice that Tesla made for our behalf. Yet, even in poverty, he never abandoned his vision. Tesla's ideas often contradicted scientific knowledge of his time. He spoke of wireless communication when scientists thought it'd be impossible. He described particle beam weapons decades before their development. It's amazing. He envisioned renewable energy systems and even speculated about photographing thoughts, ideas that seemed fascinating to others, but a vision of Tesla. And they're really explored by scientists today as a result of his ideas that he would pen on paper. So Tesla possessed a rare ability that you need to have as well to bridge theory and practical application. He claimed to visualize inventions in complete detail mentally, testing them before they even became prototypes. So this is what you'll see with many visionaries I profile in the book, is the ability for them to build things in their head, to envision, if realized, what would be the impact and what would it take to actually build something like this. So I get it that maybe you don't have that vision or the ability to create this type of vision that can be realized in your head. But you can create a team that, if given the autonomy, given the authority to fail and fail again and fail and fail and fail. Famously, Thomas Edison, 9,999 times 10,000, he invented the light bulb. But instead of getting frustrated on the failures, he said, I found 9,999 ways it doesn't work. So it's a matter of how you position it. So he claimed to invent these ideas mentally. He worked in intense bursts, had an amazing memory, spoke 8 languages, and calculated complex equations in his head. But he also exhibited this obsessive, compulsive tendencies, requiring exactly 18 napkins at dinner, as an example, staying only in hotel rooms with numbers divisible by 3. So he had these quirks, very similar to a Howard Hughes, who had similar quirks, but Hughes was a little bit more intense than Tesla. So this combination of brilliance and eccentricity and principle and practicality was really a kind of a foundational base of who Tesla was. But this is what also contributed to his extraordinary success, but also his struggles, which were tragic. Tesla's independence allowed him to pursue world-changing ideas, but also isolated him from support systems that might have helped realize more of his dreams. And I talk about this in the book as one of the principles of visionary leaders is isolation. Sometimes people think of isolation as locking yourself in a room, and you definitely need to do that. Locking yourself in a room, focus time, penning out ideas, and figuring out how to realize them without any interruptions. But what I'm also talking about is isolation from the world, which sometimes can be tragic. And that's what Tesla was facing. It was what Beethoven faced. So what are some of those leadership lessons you can learn from Tesla and apply those to your everyday? So some of the things I penned out here from the book are what can leaders learn from Nikola Tesla. His life offers really a powerful lesson for all of us, for leaders in any field. I don't care who it is. So number one is, I want you to think in systems, not just solutions. Tesla just didn't invent better components. He reimagined entire systems, and today's leaders should look beyond immediate problems to see larger ecosystems. When improving customer service doesn't just fix touch points. Redesign the entire customer journey as a result. That's a great example. Tesla's AC system succeeded because it fundamentally reimagined electrical infrastructure. Embrace long-term vision over short-term gains. Tesla sacrificed immediate wealth for his long-term vision. Today's leaders can really balance quarterly pressures with generational thinking. Set aside, let's just say, even 10 to 15% of your budget for exploratory work aligned with your long-term vision. Create spaces where teams can experiment, take risks without pressure of immediate results. And the next is stay independent in your thinking. Tesla independence allowed him to pursue radical ideas, conventional wisdom rejected. So question everything. That's what I used to do. Remember back in the day when my boss asked me, how much did you learn? This is way back in the day, but he asked me, how'd you learn so much in a short period of time? And I said, I question everything. I didn't know Tesla at the time. So when somebody says something is impossible, dig deeper. Ask why. 5 times to get past surface level constraints to real limitations of why you can't do it, and if it is the truth. So encourage your team to challenge conventional wisdom. The next is pursue your vision with unwavering passion. Tesla's passion sustained him through decades of setbacks. So I want you to connect your work to a purpose larger than profit. What positive change are you creating? How does the organization make lives better? This is really a Patagonia foundational principle. People want to be part of something meaningful, not just collect paychecks. I get it. You have to be profitable, but also you have to do something for humankind as well. Think globally from day one. Tesla thought about transforming the entire planet from day one. Even running a local business can ask, how can this scale globally? The world we live in today, that's reality. So design with that possibility in mind. Build systems that could work across cultures and markets. And balance genius with pragmatism, I call it. And Tesla's unwillingness to compromise left many ideas unrealized. Balance visionary thinking with practical execution. Is it going to work? Does this concept make sense? Can we commercialize it? And when you look at it, if you're the visionary, find operators who can execute. If you're technical, find business minds who can commercialize, build, and complement teams. And the next is create value. This is a big thing for me as well, and Tesla recognized it as well. Build value for others, not just for yourself. Be humble in what you're doing. Tesla believed his inventions should benefit all humanity. The most successful modern companies that I profile in the Visionary brand balance profit with purpose. In daily decisions, ask yourself, does this create genuine value for our customers and communities, or just extract value? And the last is protect time for deep thinking. This is huge for leaders to do. I just don't have time. I can't block off an hour a day. You need to have time in isolation to define your vision, understand if you're moving forward, if you're in neutral, or if you're in reverse, in taking the steps towards executing your idea or your vision. Tesla's profound insights came during intense focus. Today's leaders face constant interruption. So block time for strategic thinking with the same principle and discipline as important at meetings. Some of the most successful leaders, if not all leaders, have adopted versions of Tesla's deep thinking approach, is what he said. So when we look at Tesla, what are some of these accomplishments? And it's crazy. Alternating current system, Tesla coil, radio waves and wireless communication, remote control, wireless transmission of energy, X-rays, robotics, induction heating, all of these things. So this is just one man. Can you imagine the resources you have today with AI, your team, your brand, your company, your product, your service, whatever it may be? You have the ability to follow these principles of Tesla and apply them to your day-to-day. So in a closing reflection, I call it a reflection, because of this being a visionary and someone who's with us back in the late 1800s and all that Tesla created. And I call it the visionary who powers our future. And unfortunately, Nikola Tesla died alone in a New York hotel room on January 7th, 1943, at the age of 86, with thousands in unpaid bills. I just want you to come to the realization of what he sacrificed on our behalf in order to realize the dream of others. The world had largely forgotten this man who had given so much to our world. But his greatest vindication came after death as the world finally caught up with his vision. Today, International Unit of Magnetic Flux Density, a big word, I know, but it's called a Tesla. One of our time's most innovative company bears the name Tesla, going back to Elon Musk. That's why he named it Tesla, another visionary that I profile in the book. But I want you to understand, Tesla's most important legacy isn't any single invention in particular. It's his approach to innovation itself. In our world of quarterly earnings and reports, Tesla's commitment to long-term thinking and transformative ideas feels more relevant than ever. You need to take the time to isolate yourself, to execute on your vision, move forward, not stay in neutral. Ask yourself at the end of each day, did you move closer to your goal or further back from your goal? I know there's frustration, you don't have time, but it's all self-inflicted. He reminds us that the most important innovations really aren't often generating immediate profits, but those reimagining what's possible. Tesla's struggles reminds us as visionaries. We don't just need brilliant ideas, but resources and support to realize them. So be humble. Give credit to your team. The only way you're going to execute it, even as brilliant as Steve was, the only way he could have built the iPhone was with Johnny Ive and his team. So how many modern Teslas exist right now with revolutionary ideas but no backing? We need Tesla's brand of visionary thinking more than ever. People willing to look beyond quarterly profits to generate transformational ideas. Innovators who think in systems, dreamers who believe technology should serve humanity. That's what we need. So every time you turn on a light, use a wireless technology or benefit from electrical motors, you're living in Tesla's world. The smartphone in your pocket, the Wi-Fi connecting you globally, the electrical vehicles transforming transportation, all built on foundations Tesla laid over a century ago. Tesla's focus was always on pushing humanity forward, and that's what you need to think about as well. Think beyond product, think ecosystem. How are you going to benefit others? How are you going to solve their problems? How are you going to make them more effective, more efficient as a company, regardless of who gets the credit? That generous, forward-looking vision may be one of his most important legacies. He was the most humble visionary I profiled in the book. The future Tesla imagined is the present we inhabit today. His approach, bold vision, systematic thinking, unwavering commitment to human progress offers us a real blueprint, fortunately, and we're blessed with this, for shaping the future that's yet to come. Tesla proved one person with a powerful vision can literally change how billions live. The question for us really is, what visions are bold enough for us to pursue? What impossible dreams might become tomorrow's reality if we have the courage to chase them? So think about those questions today. So thank you for joining me again on the Visionary Chronicles. Until next time, keep dreaming big, and remember, today's impossible is tomorrow's inevitable. And if this episode resonated with you, I really encourage you, as I profiled, I'd mentioned earlier, it's a best-selling book. Tesla is just one of the 17 visionaries I profile in the book. I encourage you to grab a copy of The Visionary Leader. It's an ebook. I just released an audio book as well for those that drive in the car, and hard copy. It's The Visionary Leader, The Success Principles of the World's Greatest Visionary. It's available now wherever books are sold. Perfect companion if you're looking to kind of reignite your purpose, your passion, lead with more clarity in this super complex world. And as a thank you to the podcast listeners, Ebook is still at $199. And it's really a culmination of decades of research, experiences, real-world insights into what makes leaders like Steve Jobs, Leonardo da Vinci, and Elon Musk truly visionary. And again, thank you. Your support means the world, and your purchase goes a long way to helping us spread the vision even further. The Visionary Chronicles, where the future is created by those bold enough to shape it. Until next time, keep innovating, keep leading, keep shaping the future. Thank you for your continued support. And I look forward to hearing from you soon. As I always say, stay true, stay authentic, be different, and be great, but enjoy the journey along the way.